Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started here, everyone. My name is Vince, and I want to welcome all of you to this presentation of Novedge's Best of the Best webinar series. We're really excited today not only to present Inforbix, which is an entirely new way to access and manage your data, but to have Vic Sanchez on board presenting for us. Before we get started, I just want to give a little background on Vic. He has 23 years experience working for companies that develop solutions for technical and business professionals. He is a trained engineer with business experience gained from working internationally. Vic is currently the Chief Operating Officer at Inforbix and is passionate about helping people get the most out of their data. So again, I just want to thank Vic for participating in this. He's truly an expert on Inforbix, so we're going to be in good hands. Vic's going to speak for about the next 40 minutes or so. During that time, everyone will be in listen-only mode, but please feel free to shoot questions into the question box. At the end, we'll open it up for a Q&A, and we'll get to as many questions as time allows. We will be recording this webinar, so if you're curious as to will it be available to watch afterwards, I'll give complete details on where you can find it as soon as Vic's finished with his presentation. Having said all that, I want to turn it over to Vic as soon as we can so we can jump right into this. Vic, are you there?
I'm here, Vince. Thank you for that nice introduction.
Yes, not a problem. Thank you again for participating in this webinar. I'm going to switch the screen to you, and you can take it from here.
Okay, good. Just as a check, Vince, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So let me get started then. Again, thank you, everyone, for taking time from your busy day to give us an opportunity to share a little bit about Inforbix with you. So Inforbix is a web and cloud-based product that helps people in manufacturing companies take better advantage of product data. It gives people the ability to find, reuse, and share information. Inforbix offers what we call product data apps that each serve as a specific tool used to find and access, administer, and present product data. Inforbix can find and extract information from within different file types and sources, no matter where they are in the company or in your company for that matter. Now, before I get into showing you the product, there are a few other interesting points I'd like to mention. The product is easy and intuitive to use. No training is necessary, and you'll see that for yourself in a moment. Deployment takes a few minutes of your time, and there is no ongoing maintenance or special resources required to keep it going. On-premise files, in other words, the files within your firewall, are not touched. They're not moved, migrated, or modified in any way by Inforbix. A simple wizard download installs a product data crawler that scans your on-premise files, collects metadata, or another way of saying data about the data, and sends that to the cloud. This means that no actual on-premise files are sent to the cloud, and I think for a lot of people that's important to know. And finally, it's very affordably priced. It's an annual subscription fee that's based on the number of files Inforbix scans and the system's access. There are no limits to the number of users in a company. Now, so having said all that, let's get into the product, because I think I'm willing to bet what all of you are here to see. So let me first talk a little bit about the data set, because behind this product, there's a data set. Now, this is real data, customer data, that's actually on the cloud, so it's live. This is not a canned data set. It's actually live, and it represents, in this case, a massive folder structure that's spread across different departments and information silos. And I can just imagine some of you probably saying, yep, that could be us. Anyway, the specific arrangement in this particular customer or site is that engineering uses SolidWorks and manufacturing uses Autodesk. So having said that, now let me get into the product and sort of walk you around what you're seeing, get your eye accustomed. And then I'm going to take you just through a couple of use cases that will really serve more as a tour for the product. So what you're seeing here is what we call the home app, or really the place where you get started with Inforbix. So up here you have what we call the different Inforbix apps. But where I really want to drive and draw your attention is to this upper part here. Because here what we have are different icons that represent the different tasks that Inforbix helps you get accomplished. And I'll get into those in a moment. Here, beneath these different icons, we have useful tasks. And useful tasks are really typical things that you will need to do on a repetitive or occasional basis. And so we sort of have like these quick links that help you gather information quickly. And there's quick find, quick reports, and quick statistics. I'll get into that also in a moment. But before I do that, let me just start clicking away a few things here so that you sort of recognize what I'll be showing in a few moments. So here we have My Stuff. My Stuff is essentially the place where most of the things, in fact all of the things that you would save with Inforbix will be located. I'll come back to this in a moment and show you how that works. Here we have My Dash. My Dash is really my dashboard. It's a way of dynamically monitoring any changes or updates to anything that you've aggregated or any data that you've aggregated using the various Inforbix apps. And this is one way of continuously making sure that anything or any product data that you've collected into a report or a chart or whatnot is kept up to date. Again, I will show you that in action in a moment. Find data is where you'll very often go to find data, and I'll talk about that in a moment because that'll be a crucial part. Creating reports, this is very interesting because I'm willing to bet that most of you are probably using Excel very often to basically create reports, whether they're bill of materials, part lists, etc. Now the problem with Excel, the way I see it, is that it almost becomes out of date the moment you save it. And then you also have to enter the data into it. So imagine having a tool that gives you an ability to dynamically and automatically populate it, and it's always kept up to date. Again, I'll show you that in action in a few moments. And then finally, we have the Create Charts. Creating charts is really a visual way for you to see product data. And when you're in charts, as a first screen, we give you a few hints on how to get started or how to use charts. Anyway, let me now show you and start getting into some of the nitty-gritty of the product. So let's start with Quick Find, some of these useful tasks, and that'll get you familiar with also a little bit of the data set. So let's say that you want to know or to view all the CAD drawings in your company. Now, these may not only be the CAD drawings that are on your hard drive, but they could be located anywhere in the company. And when you install Inforbix, you basically have told it where to look. So what Inforbix does is you'll notice here that you have all these different kinds of file types. There's AutoCAD, different AutoCAD files. There's Excels. There's PDF. There's SolidWorks. Inforbix pretty much understands every mechanical CAD application out there and is able to extract information from that. So let's just, for kicks and giggles here, say I want all the SolidWorks drawings in the company. Now when you say go, what Inforbix is doing is it's in real time collecting every single piece of information regarding SolidWorks drawings in the company. Now you'll see here that it's found, almost 4,800 drawings, SolidWorks drawings. Now, before I go on, let me just also acquaint you with how we present data, because we do so in several ways. You'll notice here that we present data, first of all, in a way that you can easily browse through it. So it's very intuitive. You can go ahead and browse this data. Now, there's a lot of data there, so you might be wondering, well, how could I narrow it down? Well, here on the side, we provide you with filters that give you an opportunity to sort of narrow it in. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say you're going to want the specific SolidWorks drawing for a specific year, right? You want the archive. So let's say from the 1st of January of 2008, right, all the way to the end of that year. So for whatever reason, you want all the SolidWorks drawings for that for that year, and that'll end on December. Now I'm going to apply the filter. Now imagine if you had to do this manually, or if you had to sort of go collect this information from many different sources. So now you'll notice that you've gone from about 4,800 documents to 790, 800 documents. And you can continue to filter this, and I'll show you some examples later of that. Because the next thing I want to show you is how we organize this data. Again, you can go ahead and scan that. But what's really interesting about Inforbix is the way we organize results. We organize them into what we call product data snippets. And a product data snippet is nothing more than a logical aggregation and organization of different data, attributes, and links that are relevant to that particular piece of data that's been returned. So let's look at here at the first one. First of all, I'm not entirely 100% familiar with every CAD drawing, but I'm assuming this is something relevant, right? To as part of the SolidWorks drawing, I can come down here, and you'll notice that there's a thumbnail view that I can expand. Okay, but look at here what we also provide, right? We provide you information that is automatically collected from and pulled from the SolidWorks drawing, but we also, using what we call Semantic Technology, also link or infer relationship to documents that might be related. Now, you heard me earlier talk about the way this particular company is organized, that engineering uses SolidWorks and manufacturing uses AutoCAD. Well, here's an AutoCAD file that is related to that particular SolidWorks drawing, probably because the people in manufacturing know AutoCAD and the people in engineering. And somehow these two are linked. I'm just going there back on the breadcrumb, back to where I was. So you see that this is really information, because I don't know about you, but I found that very often it's the information I didn't know I was looking for that sometimes tends to be most helpful. And before I now move on, I want to just bring your attention here to this all attributes here. If you click all attributes in a data snippet, what we basically have done, again, automatically, is collect every piece of attribute or information on a particular piece of product data that could be very helpful. Who saved it? Who was the author? When was the last access? Et cetera, et cetera. That's important not only because as a data point to you if you're looking for something, but also in the way Inforbix uses it. Okay, enough about data snippets for a moment. This is, I think, now what I want to share with you with regards to that. Because now let's go and do a quick report. Okay, what does that look like? Just to be consistent, I'm going to also do the same thing I did before, which is I'm going to get a SolidWorks drawing. I'm going to get all the SolidWorks drawings in the company. Click and see, let's see what happens. So again, Inforbix is collecting all that information. But look what happens here. So you got here 4,700 results. Remember, that was exactly the same amount as we did when we did a quick find. However, what Inforbix has now done is it's aggregated all that information into a virtual spreadsheet. It's a virtual spreadsheet because it'll actually allow you to do a couple of things. It'll allow you, for one thing, to do a little bit of slicing and dicing. You could even, if you say, okay, there's a lot of files there or drawings there, what can I do with that? Well, let me show you here. You can actually do a couple of things. The first thing you can do is, on the fly, just click here to choose columns. You can actually change the look and feel of this and change the columns so that it's meaningful to you. You can create a report or a table that's meaningful to you. Let me show you how that works. These are all the existing columns, and these are all the attributes and all the possible columns that Inforbix knows about, right? So just for kicks and giggles, I'm just going to say I want to create a quick report of all the SolidWorks drawings, who saved them, and you notice how I just dragged and dropped them, when they were last saved. Okay, let's stop at that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit OK, and now look at that. So now I have last saved date, and so on. So I can take it. I can actually take it one step further, and I can actually filter this information. So if for whatever reason I wanted to say, well, I want to know all the SolidWorks documents, I got to keep this straight here, all the SolidWorks documents in the company, CAD documents, or CAD drawings, pardon me, CAD drawings in the company. Let's just pick the first guy here, first engineer. So what Inforbix is now doing, it's creating that report for me. And you see on the fly, I'm able to collect that. So now I have 642. And the last thing I can do here, by the way, let me just go back. I'm just going to take that, I can undo that particular filter. And I'm just going to go ahead and save that. That's another thing you can do with the table. So I'm just going to call it Node for Novedge CAD list. And I'll come back to that a little later. You'll see why I'm doing that. Okay, good. Let's go back home. And then the last quick stat that I want to show you is for creating some quick stats using charts. So let's say you want to know in your company how many of each different type of document there exists. It's a very common thing that we're finding a lot of people are asking for. So if I just say category there and say go, what Inforbix is doing is crunching, and you see it creates a chart that says, okay, these are my SolidWorks tools, these are my Excels, PDFs, and it gives you here the amount. And I can cut and slice this a little, you know, in different ways, and I'll show you that later. Okay, so I think that now I hope you have a general idea of what some of these different apps do. I haven't shown you all of them yet, but let's now get into some use cases. Okay, let's say that you need to create a quick little search because you're trying to find some particular SolidWorks drawings from some particular individual. Now, very often you might say, well, you know, if it's my drawing, I can find it usually. Right? That's true-ish. I'm willing to bet that depending on how many drawings you have and the company has and where they're located, it becomes a little bit more difficult to do. So let me show you an example here. So if I hit quick find, it takes me to the Inforbix app search. So now I'm going to search for all the drawings from Josh, okay? Or anything, actually. Let me take that back. I'm going to search for anything in the company that has to do with this particular individual, Josh. And so you can see here there's almost 7,000 results, and there's all sorts of stuff here, right? And I'm not going to browse through all of it. In fact, if I go here to the filter part, you'll notice that Inforbix has automatically populated the categories to fit the search criteria. In other words, there's stuff from Josh that are AutoCAD, that are Excel, so on and so forth. Now, I'm just interested now in the SolidWorks drawings for Josh, okay? Now, I want one more cut at filtering because I want to know all, let me move this here. I want to know all the SolidWorks drawings by Josh that were actually saved by a different individual. So again, I'm just cutting it a little bit more. So Inforbix, again, makes it very easy for you to find the appropriate attributes that are helpful to sort of narrow down information. So last saved, I just enter here, and now I enter the name of the individual. Now imagine just trying to do this, right? There we are, 26 results. 26 results have been found. Now, watch this. I can go ahead and save this particular search because let's say for whatever reason, I want to recreate that search. So I'm just going to put, this is the node, you know, Josh Wanna CAD files. Okay, so I can go ahead and save that. Now, you might be asking yourself, where is that? Well, if I just go back to the application, you'll see there it is, Save Searches. Inforbix automatically keeps track of that. Now, if I click it, okay, let's say I want to prove to you something here. Let's say I want to go search. And this is tomorrow, and I want to reissue that particular search. All I have to do is click it, and Inforbix recreates it. Now, here's what's interesting is Inforbix, when recreating this, will capture the latest and greatest information, no matter whether it's a search result or a report or a chart or whatnot. It'll always pull the latest and greatest information. Not because we're keeping some massive database. In fact, there's no database. There's no vault. In fact, we access those. We just know where everything is. And therefore, by knowing where everything is, we can do stuff with it. Okay, let's move on. So let me give you another example. I'm going to show you a slight little twist here with one more app. So this is a reuse example. Now, if I can see that by a show of hands, how many of you out there have had to do a product reuse? You know, there's all sorts of stats that say that product reuse or repurposing is probably one of the most important and key challenges for many organizations, because there's just so much data everywhere that most engineers will say, you know what, it takes me so long to either find it, I don't even know if it exists, that it's just probably, you know, easier for me to redesign it or maybe go out and buy it someplace. That's, you know, that's wasteful. And needless to say, you can spend a lot of time trying to find something. Let me show you again how with Inforbix how that works. So let me just go back to find data. Okay, let's go back to that example with Josh, because what I want to do is I want to find a. Actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to do something. I'm going to say I'm going to reuse a latch mechanism, right? I'm doing this on the fly here. I'm going to look for a latch mechanism because this is the situation, right? A couple of years ago, there was a project that used a latch mechanism, and that latch mechanism was saved by this engineer called Josh. I'm not Josh. And I have just been asked by my boss that there's an element of that latch mechanism that I should be able to repurpose or reuse, right? Now, not being familiar with that product, but I do know just a few things. I might even recognize a particular latch mechanism if I see it. So let's see with Inforbix how that works. So I've entered latch, and there's lots of different file types that have come up. But what I'm in particularly looking for is for a SolidWorks assembly. Normally, you'll know a few things. If you don't, it might just take you a few more iterations to narrow down the search. Okay? So I'm going to filter for SolidWorks assemblies, but I'm also going to filter for something that was last saved by Josh, right? So again, I'm just going to enter here Josh, apply that filter. Inforbix is now searching, and look at here, very interesting, because I now see a latch mechanism that looks very familiar. Wow, that looks like it, like that could be it. Now I can take this one step further, because now what I can do is I can go now and say, what are all the references that make up this particular latch? Because if I browse those, maybe I'll find the element that I'm looking for. So all I did, I used again the semantic capabilities and the capabilities of Inforbix to link related files and information together. Again, all of this is done automatically. Look at here. You'll have to take my word for it, but this is, in fact, the particular element of that latch that I am looking for. And it's located, so let's say, hey, where is it located? Inforbix say, it's located in this particular directory. Now, I can't do this because this is not our data set. But if I were in a company, I can come here, and if you've seen my cursor move, it's over open folder. I can set this up so I can go directly to open that folder. Obviously, either on the network or on my laptop, right? So that's one way that I can very quickly find. Now again, think through how you would do this in your company, right? And you know, what are the steps that you would have to go through under such, you know, to find a similar piece of information that, you know, as I painted it. Would it be very easy? Would it be very hard? Would it be challenging? How long would it take you? We see with Inforbix that it's pretty straightforward. Let me now show you an example where you can create a report for a product review. Let's say that you've just been told by your boss, hey, you've got a product review or a product meeting for a project, and it's happening in half an hour, and I need a report of all the particular SolidWorks drawings and what's been happening with them. Now, normally, you know, certainly for me, that would be panic time. let's see how that could be quickly handled by Inforbix. So I'm just going to go create a report here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, again, I'm just using Josh just to continue to stay consistent as an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I can create a quick report in action. So here are all the documents by Josh. We did that a little earlier. You'll see that this is similar to the results we got before. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this a little bit, because what I want to do now is I'm just interested in the SolidWorks drawings. So I'm going to unselect all the categories, and I'm just going to say I want all the SolidWorks drawings. So I'm clicking that. Hope you're following me here, that I'm not moving too fast. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the columns, because I want a specific report. Now again, remember, this is information that's being aggregated and pooled from many different places in the company, right? So what I want is I want the last saved, and I'm just going to put that here next to last saved, and I want the approved by, because I want to see how often these were approved. Okay. Now again, I'm doing this all on the fly. I'll keep the rest of this stuff. It doesn't bother me. I could delete something, for example. If I wanted to delete that, I could delete it. But I'm just going to go say OK. So here it is. So now I can take this one step further, because I'm going to say I want this to be last saved by, okay, so let's see, it was Wanamaker. See what that looks like. Oops, I misspelled that. Let me try that again. Okay. And it was approved by Hill. So now you see me creating a report. And now if I even wanted to add an additional column, let's say I want when this was last modified. I'm doing this on purpose, so you see how, you know, if for whatever reason I just say, I want one more piece of information, I can just quickly say, here's the last modified. See that? Now I know when these documents were last modified. And I can go ahead and say, this is a Nov, and I can say project review. Hopefully I can spell right. Project review. So now I've saved that, and I'll come back to that a little later in a moment. Because now what's going to happen is I've just saved that. I'm going to go back now home, and I'm going to go to my stuff. Remember I talked about that? Look at this. You remember that I saved the Novedge, Josh, the Watermaker CAD files? Look at this. This is the report I just saved. Now this might look a little bit familiar to you, but it's fairly intuitive what's going on here. What we have here is all the saved reports that I've created with Inforbix, and the type, who's the owner, but look at this over here. I'm just going to put this here. Look at the actions, because with actions, what I can do is I can change the name, etc., but I can go ahead and share this. If I click the action, I can go ahead and share this with anyone in the company, right? I don't know if there's going to be, but look at all the different people here. I can go ahead and add. I'm going to go ahead and add Ringo Starr. These are just random names that we added. But I can go ahead and add Ringo Starr, and I can go ahead and add Sam. And now when I share it, right, and I'm done, I'm just going to refresh this. You'll see that it's been shared. And now Ringo and Sam will have direct access to my project review. I'm just going to click that because it recreates the search and creates that report, that table, recreates that table rather, and they'll be able to see this. Now, if there have been any changes whatsoever to any one of these documents, if one has been added, if one has been deleted for whatever reason, the latest revision, as I've defined it here, last modified, I will know about it. And I can take this to the project review. And I know that I'm going to have the latest and greatest and most up-to-date information, and it really just took me a few moments to do. Kind of cool, huh? I think so. Let me go back now and just take you and give you a few more examples while we have a little bit of time left. I'm going to take you now through something that is really, really important, we think, and real typical. It's a typical use case of how information between different departments can be shared. And, you know, this whole battle between the engineers and the people in manufacturing, and how we can extract information from within a document. Let me show you something. I'm going to go back to find here. And I'm going to show you how we can extract information, for example, from Excel sheets and create reports and creating a BOM table. That's always up to date. You know, I think it's really cool. Let me show you. Okay. So let's say we know that we're looking for an equipment list of some type. Assume, oh, good God. Let me see if I can spell that. Equipment list. So I'm going to search now everything that has to do with an equipment list. But I'm looking in particular for Excel worksheets, right? Because I want to create a BOM for a cabinet. Here's a cabinet BOM, if you will. Cabinet is just the drawings for these internal cabinets. And I want to have a BOM list that's always up to date. Okay, so I'm going to go and say I want the Excel worksheets. So now I'm just going to apply the filter. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, so I've got a bunch of Excel sheets. I have 989. That's a lot for me to look at. But I know what particular cabinet drawing I'm looking for. And there could be quite a number of them. So I'm just going to say I'm looking for one that has a drawing number that starts with 25 and has cabinet in its name. Now what I've done here is I'm searching within the search. So by clicking this, I'm searching within the 989. Boy, I hope this works. Let's see what happens here. Is it going to return it? That's the question. Okay, I know it will. Now it's taking a few moments because Inforbix is literally going through all those documents, extracting information from everything, and finding it. And look at that here. It's found it. This is the cabinet one. So if I view the table real quickly, it's going to show me, this is the BOM table I'm looking for. Now watch this. What I can do now is I'm going to create a table of this that's going to extract the information from this worksheet. These are all the worksheets that are part of that particular Excel that are relevant to my search. But for this one, I'm going to extract and create a table. Now, when I hit create a table, what Inforbix is doing is extracting and populating that particular worksheet of that BOM and putting it in a dynamic table. Now, you'll notice here that there's no column headers. So there's a way that I can do that. I can go ahead and say edit column headers. Boy, I can say that one fast. And now I'm just going to click here. Watch this. See, I've just created it because this is unstructured. This is just the way it was put for some reason, right? And if you're trying to find this manually with whatever tools you might have, you know, it might be a little difficult. And Inforbix just knows where it is, and it can extract stuff for minutes, so it can't hide. So now I'm going to apply editing. But watch this. I might even take this a little bit further. I'm going to go back and say, you know, I'm going to be sharing these with the guys at manufacturing, and they don't call it part number. They call it item number. So I'm just going to apply editing. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is the node, again, just to remind me, BOM table. So now I have saved this particular report. Now look what I can do with it. I talked about dashboards earlier, right? So let me go back home. I can go to dashboards directly here. Let me show that because there's always quick links to get to anywhere. I can go back through home, right, and my home page, or I can go to dash. I'm just going to use that particular link. Now here are some previously saved dashboards. So let me show you how easy it is with dashboards. I am going to now, by the way, these are the number of cells. There's 6 of them. I had already been using 3 just for optics. I can change at any time the number of cells that I have displayed here. I can do that dynamically. I'm going to keep it that way. And look how easy it is to add something. I'm just going to go here to add, and this is the Novedge BOM table. This is what I just saved. If I go ahead and click that, watch this. Boom, there it is, right? Now, just to show you something, let's say I go back home. If I go back to Dash, and let me do it here. I go back to Dash, it's going to know that that BOM table is there. But here's the cool thing about this, right? I can get a an expanded view of that. But any changes to that BOM table, will be reflected here, right? Because now, if I want to, not only is that maybe part of a project that various people are accessing it, but on my stuff, if I so chose, I can also share it with others in my team, right? So you see that with Inforbix, you're really able to look at structured and unstructured data in a very new and different way that presents data to you in very meaningful ways and helpful ways. Then how am I doing with time? Do I have time for a couple more cases, or you want to start going into Q&A?
I think you could go for about 10 more minutes if you wanted to. I mean, we have...
If I still have everyone awake out in webinar land, I'm happy to just do maybe one or two more.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. Let me show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how semantics, the semantic technology works. Again, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but let me give you just an example. I'm going to go ahead here and do a search, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, there's a bar top profile, bar top literally meaning a bar top, and I am going to search for it, right? Because I want to now sort of, in other words, let's say I don't know what I don't know, and I know that I'm searching for stuff that I might be able to reuse, to repurpose, to find, and whatever the case might be for my particular task, right? Let me go ahead and filter that. I'm going to filter that for SolidWorks drawings. I know that SolidWorks drawings continue to be a recurring theme here, but believe me, you can go wild with this. Look at this here. I wanted to show you this because there's 7 results that have to do with this out of the thousands of drawings. Again, these are everywhere. But again, I can take a view, and you see that I have an AutoCAD file here that we found. I'm just doing that's from AutoCAD, right? Let me go back. And there's a PDF file, right? So imagine how helpful and useful it is to have at your fingertips, right, a tool that aggregates all the information you need, right? It even has references. I'm just going to click that. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not familiar with this data set. But there we go. There's a sort of an assembly drawing, right, of that. Again, that could be very helpful. That could be very, very helpful to me, particularly if I'm looking for all the information I need. Watch this now. I'm going to just go a little further down. And again, I'm just browsing randomly through some of these drawings, right? And again, just like on the web, you browse for data and then you come across something, hey, this is really interesting. Look at this. There's tables here. What Inforbix has done is it's basically pulled the bill of materials from that particular drawing, right? You saw me do that earlier from an Excel file. Well, Inforbix is able to pull that directly from a drawing. And if I create a table, just like you saw me do last time, I can actually go ahead and save this, share it, and any updates to it, I will know are always at my fingertips. And if I share this with anyone in the company, I can be 100% confident that it is an up-to-date BOM table, even though I've done nothing. Inforbix is actually doing all that work, all that heavy lifting for me. Let me go back home. And let me see here. I'm going to do maybe just one more. And this is going to be for a chart, because I don't think I've really done much with charts. And let me create a report, a table. I'm going to go ahead and create a table. And let's say that I'm looking for a particular drawing. And I know the name of that drawing, just the first few letters. I don't remember the whole number, but I know it's part of the Galley project. So I'm just going to click that on tables. Now this is going to take a few moments. I already know this, being that I've already tried this before. But there are tens of thousands of elements containing these particular reference number having to do with Galley. that are more than just drawings. They're Excel files, PDF files. There's just thousands and thousands of them. And I picked this one on purpose because I know that this is just really spread out everywhere. It was a huge project in the company. And there's just, you know, data about the Galley project everywhere. In fact, if I can draw your attention down here, there's 21,000, right? But fortunately, I can go ahead and filter that real quickly. And again, I'm going to go on select all. Again, this is just to show you how easy and simple and straightforward it is. I could pick anything here. But again, let me just go ahead. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very quickly add a couple of columns, right? I'm going to modify this so I'm going to chart it. I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. So it's going to be last saved by. I'm going to just drag and drop it right here. And the other one I'm going to do is going to be approved by. Okay. And I'm just going to keep the rest of that stuff. I'm just going to get rid of that stuff here. I'm going to do that. There it is. I'm going to now save it. I'm going to call it, you know, the Novedge chart example. Okay. Now what's what I'm going to do? I'm going to go directly to chart. I could go through the home, but I'm just going to go directly to chart. Right. And now I am going to pick that particular chart. Watch. These are all things I've done in the past, but Novedge chart is just the one I saved, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select something from it, you know, last saved by, because I want to know for this particular chart all the people that last saved that. So let's see if that works. So Inforbix is now creating that chart. Here we go. So it shows the names here of all the different people that have created that chart. I can go and save that chart. Let's create that. Let's call that the Novedge up-to-date chart. Pardon my spelling and all that good stuff. You get the point. Because now I'm going to show you if I go to dashboards, I'm going to add it right here. I can go to charts. There's a Novedge chart, and I can add it, and I can continuously monitor that chart. Right? It's taking just a few moments, and if I expand the view, I will see that view in expanded form, and if I want to go to the original, I can just click this link here. So, Vince, I think I'm pretty much done, but just to summarize with Inforbix, I think what I've tried to do is to give you a tour and an idea of a very different way, an alternative way, if you will, of being able to get value out of product data no matter where it is, and how to do so, whether it's in CAD files or in different departments, and aggregate that in a way that's really helpful, meaningful, and useful by providing tools, we call them Inforbix apps, that help you get specific tasks done, and how they're all sort of to be created to be part of workflows that'll hopefully make everyone a lot more productive in a company with a tool that's really different, easy to install, easy to use. Vince, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks. Thank you again, Vic. We don't have any questions right now. If anyone wants to shoot them in right now, it's a great chance. I guess the only question I had real quick was if you wanted to cover briefly sort of is there any tech support or, you know, help, quick, you know, I guess frequently asked questions section that you guys provide in case anyone has any questions while they're using Inforbix?
Yes, there are several ways you can do that. Great question, Vince. Thank you. So when you're using Inforbix, if you run into any issue or have any questions, you can go here to the far right and see the Contact Us. Let's go ahead and click that. If you click that, what you'll do is you can enter the category, report a problem, ask a question, provide feedback, whatever it is. Right? I'm just going to go ahead and report a problem. This doesn't work, and you can put something here. You can even attach a file if you do a screenshot and you send it. Okay? And once that's sent, then you'll see this sign, you go back, and we'll get that almost instantaneously. And we do have tech support, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Normally, our response times are within an hour or less. So we really endeavor to make sure we get back to you really quickly. So that's one way of getting our immediate attention, right? And that goes to a lot of us here in the company. So, you know, when you send something, we take that very seriously, and we strive, no matter how trivial the question or how big the issue, we treat them all the same. Our customers come first. Here, there's a little link that says help. If you click that, what that does is it takes you to our website where there's some how-tos, tricks, you know, tips and tricks and different videos. We have our own web page, our own YouTube channel with lots of videos as well that provide lots of this is how you do this, examples of various workflows, etc. So there's quite a number of ways, Vince, that our users can get help from us. And of course, there's always the support at Inforbix.com.
Great. Here's one from Evgeny. He's asking, are there other characters that affect search mechanisms? For example, during your presentation, you used the asterisk.
The answer to that is yes. You know, the reality is that most people, in fact, most studies with search show that people will enter probably one, no more than two text words and asterisks. We support other Boolean characters to help narrow down the search, but in general, the most common and popular ways of finding something is with an asterisk or just a text, and that has a lot to do with also our search or our ability to find things. The algorithms we use, they're very thorough, and normally with a very minimum effort, we'll find sometimes a lot of information and give you the tools to narrow it down.
Great. No more questions coming in. I guess briefly I had another one. If you wanted to explain a little bit the installation process, I guess, or
Sure.
how you go about going from purchasing to installing to, you know, fully utilizing it.
Sure. I'm just going to go to our technology page because I think it's a good diagram here. So the process is fairly straightforward, right? In fact, let me just take you a little further down here. When you register with Inforbix, you'll receive a welcome to Inforbix getting started, which basically gives you instructions and a link where you download a wizard, and the wizard takes you through the installation process. The installation process is really easy, takes a few minutes, and what you're essentially doing is you're installing what we call a product data crawler. Let me go back up here to the drawing. So you're installing a product data crawler. Product data crawler is something you're installing. It's a background process, if you will, that does not disrupt any ongoing processes. It doesn't disrupt network bandwidth or anything. And it's just scanning the different folders and directories that you told it that you want Inforbix to know about, right? And if it's on a network server, it'll search whatever you tell it to. Once you install that wizard, using the wizard, you install what we call the PDC, product data crawlers. It'll just take, depending on how much data you're indexing. What happens is a lot of our customers, when they start off, they'll index maybe the stuff on their laptop, maybe a small departmental server, to sort of get a feel for the product, right? That can take, depending on the number of files, anywhere between a few hours to maybe a day. Again, that happens in the background. What's going on is Inforbix is scanning those files and sending that information, that metadata, into the cloud. The cloud is where the processing happens. Remember, we're not sending any original data. We're not sending any of your company IP. It's all metadata that's going into the cloud. And then once that's in the cloud, you can access that either through a standard web browser or, in fact, we have now an iPad mobile app, and soon we'll have Android as well, where you can access some of our apps that way. And that's it. That's all you ever do. Once you do the installation, right, of the product data crawler, in theory, if you don't change what's being indexed, you never have to touch that again. It just keeps on going. We provide a simple little web admin utility for managing the files that you're indexing, how many have you indexed, if you want to add or remove files. Really intuitive, very straightforward. That's pretty much it. The rest is just happening on its own through the magic of the technology.
Great.
Again, it's really different approach than what some people might be thinking of, traditional, data management systems, etc.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone who attended to can speak to that. It really is a totally different way of looking at this process. But yeah, we don't have any other questions coming in. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add real quick before I wrap things up.
Well, I would encourage everyone to give Inforbix a try. There's a test drive demo on our website. It's very easy. On our website, you can go here and say demo Inforbix and just enter an email. And when you're ready to purchase, I will encourage everyone to go through your website, the Novedge website, and give it a try. It's very low risk. Vince, I don't know if you want to talk about pricing or not, but this is probably the best deal in the universe for getting the most value out of your product data.
Yeah, I agree here. I'll talk about pricing in a minute, but I think I'm just going to switch the screen back over to me, and we'll wrap things up. Okay, so again, thank you, Vic. Tremendous presentation. I'm sure everyone out there found it as fascinating as I did. Thank you again for participating in our webinar series, and I want to thank everyone who attended, took time out of their day, and tuned in to this presentation of Novedge's Best of the Best webinar series. Real quick before we go here, I just want to give a little background on us at Novedge in case anyone's unfamiliar. We're the leading online design software superstore. Not only do we have the best prices around, but our staff is extremely awesome, incredibly knowledgeable. We'd love for you to call, chat with us at any time. Additionally, as Vic said, we do have Inforbix. The price is listed on your screen. It is definitely the lowest price around that you're going to find for Inforbix. I've also put my colleague Bob's email at the bottom there, if you can see that, bob@novedge.com. Feel free to email him if you have any additional questions about pricing for Inforbix. And again, I'd like to encourage everyone to get the free trial if you are curious and not sure if you want to make the commitment. And then the last thing I want to touch on briefly before we sign off is an online community we've created here at Novedge called WikiCAD. WikiCAD is essentially a community designed for CAD professionals, by CAD professionals. It's a great resource. We have tons of free news, trends, tutorials, videos, events. The recording of this webinar will be made available there in addition to our website. So if anyone wants to view this webinar again, definitely go over to WikiCAD and join. It's free, it's easy to join, and you'll be able to view this webinar again. So having said all that, again, I want to thank you, Vic. Is there anything you wanted to add real quick before we sign off here?
I wanted to thank you and thank everyone for taking time and encourage everyone to give Inforbix a try. Thank you so much, Vince.
Yeah, thanks again.
I'm really excited about working with Novedge. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, we'll see you guys next time.